Okay, so the first step, and probably the most important step to practicing mindfulness, is waking up. It's remembering to practice in the first place. It is shifting from being in the experience to observing the experience. If you've ever meditated, you know what I'm talking about. We make an intention to meditate, we sit down to meditate, and then at some moment we notice, oh, I'm thinking. I'm supposed to be meditating. That moment of, oh, I'm thinking, I'm supposed to be meditating, is that moment of waking up. That is that mindful moment. It is shifting from being in our thoughts, being one with our thoughts, to noticing our thoughts. What happens is a lot of people, they get down on themselves. They're like, oh no, I should have been meditating. Here I am thinking again. I suck at meditation. The noticing the thoughts, the noticing that they weren't being aware, kickstarts this process of self-judgment and shame. The reality is that that moment of waking up, that moment of noticing that we're thinking, is the most important moment in meditation. And that's what we're aiming for. That's what we want to create more of. But what we end up doing is putting this negative association onto that experience, and then our mind starts creating less of those experiences. It starts avoiding the waking up because we have a negative association with waking up. So what we're trying to do is create a positive association with waking up. We want to give ourselves a little pat on the back, a little bit of validation every time that we notice we're thinking. Every time we pop out of our experience and have awareness of our experience, that is a big win. That's what we're going for. We're trying to create more of those. So we want to essentially reward ourselves. Just give ourselves a little good job, you know? So try it out just now. Shift to the watcher. Just notice what's happening. You're observing your experience. Maybe there's thoughts going on. Maybe there's mental images or memories, or you're thinking back to past times you've tried to meditate. So just notice what your experience is. What's happening right now? What are you feeling in your body? What's happening in the mind? And notice how this place of observation that you're practicing right now, how is this different from your normal waking experience? What's the qualitative difference here? And just try to get a sense of that. So normally we're in a trance state. We're essentially on autopilot. And trance states aren't bad. They can be really great and really pleasurable. But the issue is that when we're in a trance state, we don't really have control over it. We don't really have awareness over, is this good for me or is this not good for me? So if you play sports or if you get really involved in some sort of game, often we can go into this highly focused trance state, and that's amazing. We can perform extremely well in trance states, and they can also relieve a lot of stress. And there are a lot of forms of meditation that are intentionally bringing you into highly focused trance states. But with mindfulness practice, we're trying to come out of a trance state and just coming to a place of pure observation, this non-judgmental awareness of what is happening in my experience. When we do that, it brings us more of a sense of freedom, more of a sense of spaciousness around our experience. And in doing so, it gives us more choice. We're able to operate from a place of higher intelligence and higher awareness. And most importantly, we're less reactive. We live our life in a state of constant reactivity. We are reacting to everything that happens in every moment, and we're mostly not conscious of it. We're essentially at the mercy of what's happening and the mercy of our conditioning. So in this waking up, we are stepping back and we're giving ourselves a little more freedom and space to not be so reactive, or at least be more aware of our reactivity. And the awareness of the reactivity lowers the reactivity. So when I work with clients and we're trying to implement mindfulness, I always get the same story, that they keep forgetting, that they're not remembering to practice. So I've developed a lot of tools and tricks to help implement these waking up moments, these triggers that remind us to practice mindfulness. So I'm going to give a bunch of tools and techniques, and it's up to you to implement based on your level of investment. So how willing are you to practice this stuff? Trying to do too much, trying to take on too much practice, or setting too high of expectations is usually counterproductive, because what happens is we don't meet that expectation and then we say, well, I suck at this, or I don't want to do this anyways. It just gives us an excuse to give up. So what we want to do is we want to look at, what are we actually willing to practice? And starting really small and first implementing small steps. And then from there we can build and build. So this practice is creating reminders, and there are many ways to do this. One is to use your phone to set alarms, maybe just 1 a day or 2 a day. Again, start small. And when the alarm goes off, you take a moment to do a mindful check-in. Another tool I've used a lot with clients that they found really helpful is to bring in some sort of physical reminder, like a talisman, like a keychain, a little statue. I have this little Buddha statue that I put on my desk, and it's a reminder for me that every time I see it, I do a mindful check-in. I notice what's happening in my experience right now. So the key here is to bring something new into your life. It could be a bracelet or a ring. It could be a little figurine. It could be a keychain. If you're taking an old object and adding a new meaning to it, we'll often forget because we're so used to seeing the object and it not having that meaning. So it's really key to get a new object, something that you're not used to seeing. And when you see that, it carries this reminder of, oh yes, be mindful, do a mindful check-in. What is happening right now in my experience? Another great thing to do is to weave this mindful practice into our morning routines, or really any routine, but something that you do every day. And it's good to start in the morning because that sets the precedent for the rest of the day. So for example, I have a coffee every morning, and my intention is that the first sip of every cup of coffee is a mindful sip, that I am being fully present. I'm noticing what's happening in my experience. I'm noticing my thoughts, noticing my body sensations, and then I'm also being really present with the taste of the coffee. Just creating this mindful moment where I'm stepping back from my experience, doing this check-in, it starts to spread throughout the day. So what happens is, before I even make my coffee, I think, okay, I'm gonna make my coffee. Oh yes, and I'm gonna have my mindful moment. Well, now is a mindful moment right now, and I do a little check-in then. And then often when I'm drinking my coffee, I am also doing mindful check-ins throughout. We want to just start with one moment. It could be brushing your teeth, it could be your coffee. If you drive to work, it could be on your drive to work. If you forget, I would forget all the time. I'd be halfway through my coffee and realize I didn't take the first sip really mindfully. That's your opportunity to practice that mindful moment. And there's no shame in that. There's no shame in forgetting. Don't beat yourself up or judge. Just notice, oh, today I didn't remember. This is all about insight, noticing how most of our lives were in these trance state autopilots, and we're not really aligned with our intentions. Through this awareness, when we have these mindful moments, we're trying to create more insights. How am I normally? What am I normally feeling? What am I normally thinking? Again, it's really important that no matter what you find in these experiences, that we look at them as positive experience. Any mindful moment is essentially positive, even if it brings about some negative reactivity, even if it's uncomfortable. It's good that we are bringing some awareness and insight to our experience. If we start to beat ourselves up when we have these mindful moments, we're going to have less of them if we create these negative associations. So we really want these to be positive. So choose a level of investment. Make an action plan right now around just one small thing, one area of your life where you're going to practice mindfulness, practice these mindful moments. And in the following videos, we're going to talk about how to deepen these experiences. When we're stepping out of our experience, when we're being mindful, what to really look for, what to pay attention to, and how to deepen the qualitative aspects, the attentional skills that are going to compound and lead to better results in our practice. I'm teaching a very simple 3-step system. This is the first step, and like I said, arguably the most important step, because if you don't remember to practice mindfulness, then everything you learn going forward, you're never going to be able to implement. So practicing this, implementing this, finding these ways, doing it right now, the more you practice these things, the more it's going to unfold. Now I have literally hundreds of mindful moments every day, and they have had a profound impact on my life, a profound impact on how I relate to my own feelings, how I relate to my thoughts. They have become far less overwhelming. I am far less controlled by these things than I used to be. And I also have a lot more clarity of mind, where I'm able to notice my own biases and my beliefs and in the way that I'm interpreting what's happening around me. I'm able to act more intelligently, more wisely in various situations. If you like this video, please comment, subscribe. I have a lot more planned and coming. And if you have any questions, please leave the questions in the comments. I'll absolutely try to get to them all. So thanks for tuning in, and I hope that this practice goes well for you.